Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's make it happen.
We got 805. 805 all the way live.
Man, special guests around the shield. You already know, man. We had to do it. We had to do it.
Sir.
1 year anniversary.
I know,
1 year
man.
anniversary from the draft.
That's the draft. I know.
Man. We the Green Bay? Hey, let's do it.
Let's run it back. Let's run it back.
Wisconsin's too cold for me, brother.
Is it still cold out there? Is it still cold? Even in what? It's March now. I mean April.
Is it when is it never not cold in Wisconsin?
Exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
That's wild, bro.
It's 40 degrees still in Wisconsin summertime.
Yeah, I looked at it right now. It's 39 degrees right now with the high of 40 with the high of 48 today. The high was 48, the low is 31. Yeah,
definitely one of those places where you hear it's -2 degrees. It's probably in Wisconsin or Green Bay or something like that,
100%.
Yeah. Crazy.
Don't forget to clock in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Here we go.
The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back for another edition of Around the Shield, man, and we got a special guest, man. We got Real Talk Raider Nation, 805 Raider in the building, man.
What's happening?
What's going on? What's going on, man? Hey, man. Hey, it's like you said, man. It's a year from almost a year from last year where we were able to link up in Vegas. rock out for the the draft. And now hopefully they don't surprise us with another Brock Bowers pick. I don't like them type of surprises. Even though Brock Bowers it did work out, but I remember the look on everybody's face when Brock Bowers was the pick.
You remember though? You remember? I mean, before we get into that, man, I swear that beginning video, man, that's fire. I almost forgot I was in the show. I thought I was just I was just watching it. I was like, man, oh shit, that's right. We're about to go on. Right. But you remember when we were sitting there doing the live in the draft, and I think it was one of your guys that came into the bar that was watching, and he told us who the pick was about maybe 10 seconds before it happened, and all three of us
Marty
were like,
Mart.
You know what? You shit.
Shout out to Marty Mart, man. Hey, he was
Marty
getting
Mart.
the news.
Marty Mart, the one that told us. Marty Mart, the one that told us about Michael Penix. That's what ruined the night for me. When he's like, man, Atlanta taking Michael Penix. The Raiders tried to trade. I still remember the exact words. He was shaking his head like the Raiders tried to trade up and they couldn't do it. I'm like, dang.
When he said that, when he said Michael, he was the one that announced Michael Penix got picked by the Falcons. When he said that kind of like it messed me up a little bit before the Raiders pick. I was like, damn.
Man, he was feeding us the picks like 10 seconds before, and we're just sitting there going like, God damn, like what? How do we react?
Shout out to Marty Mart, man, if he's in the building, man. Came through and supported us, man. So appreciate him coming out and supporting the whole event. But that was tough, man. That's tough. But that being said, Brock Bowers obviously worked out. He had an all-time great season as a rookie. We were just. We all have PTSD when it comes to Raiders and them picking in the first round and just doing the wildest things. I remember I told Severe the other day, like, I remember when the Raiders picked Hayward Bay, and at the time I wanted them to get Crabtree, and it was so shocking. I was like, Hayward Bay? Did anybody have this guy get picked like in the first 3 rounds? Like, and he gets picked in the first round, but back then that was the Raiders' MO, the fastest guy.
I think all of us have too many of those stories. It's like the Damon Arnett pick. I was like, Damon Arnett? What the hell are you picking Damon Arnett for?
Right.
It's the Alex Leatherwood pick, the Cleveland Farrell. Like, I think everybody's just like, damn. When's this gonna stop?
Right. Man.
Yeah, Space Beast. It was gonna go to the second round. That's what they told me. That's what everybody told me.
Man. But shout out to everybody pulling up. The night crew in the building. Louis in the building says, what up, fellas? Night crew clocking in. Deal finally done. Let's get it. Yeah, man. Hey, let's actually focus on bigger and better things now. And now, yeah, exactly. And the Raiders were able to officially sign Geno Smith to a contract, which we all expected, but it was just kind of like weird that it was kind of taking too long. Usually when, a guy gets traded, we hear the deal like right after that. And it just took a little bit, but you know what? When we'll get into that conversation, I'm not mad at it. Spytech, he's doing work out here. But we'll get into that in a little bit, man. Salute to Egalitarian in the building, man. Pulling up and supporting the show, man. My guy. We got Myra in the building. Myra got her own little theme song. I got her. She comes in, she gets to hear. No one comes in and says, exactly, right?
Yeah, UCLA fan. That's the only blue and gold I recognize as UCLA.
So nah, man. We're not gonna hit on the Warriors, man, today. Come on, man. We're not gonna hit on the Warriors. Steve in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hey, man, Steve, we gonna have a good mock draft today too. We got 805 in the building, man. He's gonna have some insight on what we need to do in the draft in the first round. Maybe pick another tight end. You never know. He might be filling up
for tight end.
Richard in the building, man. My guy, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Raider Pete, everybody's pulling up today, man. We got all the we got the guys that support the show heavy coming through, man. But yeah, man. Before we even get it, salute Tony, man. Appreciate you coming through. Yes. Before we even get into it, let's just go into the Geno Smith signing. Man, was it everything that you expected? Did you? Because from, everybody was expecting that he was going to get, because what we heard from like the Seattle contract negotiations, he wanted between 40 to 45 million a year, and it was taking longer than expected. But now that you've heard the official deal, which is reportedly a two-year $75 million deal, and with up to like $10 million with incentives, so it can go all the way up to 85. He was on his last year deal already, and I think it was like 31 million. So you add that, essentially becomes like a 3-year, over $100 million contract, which on average is about 35 mil a year, which puts him, like right in the middle, like a 17th, 16th in the NFL as far as contracts, yearly contracts. And he's right in, actually, is he right under Derek Carr? I think that's what they're saying. He's right under Derek Carr, or right there. And the guy that replaced him, Sam Darnold, is right there too as well. So, do you feel like the Raiders got a great deal?
I think they did. Without question. I mean, you got yourself a quarterback, and here's the thing. And the more and more you kind of look at the numbers, right? You still got Brock Purdy that could potentially be signed. He's going to get more money than Geno, most likely. But if you look at the way that the salary cap continues to increase, quarterbacks are going to continue to get paid more and more and more. I mean, if he balls and ends up being maybe an 8th, 9th, 10th ranked quarterback, you might get yourself a 9th ranked quarterback next year if he does well in Chip Kelly's system. You might have him. He might be the 27th paid quarterback by next year, the year after. So. Yeah. It's one of those things where I think as time goes on, the one thing that I was concerned about was he was asking for 45 mil, and we've been bringing in a lot of discounted players, right? Landon Roberts, 1 year, 3 mil. Devin White just signed a 1 year for chump change. Malcolm Koonce comes back at a very inexpensive deal. You're sitting there going, okay, are you trying to overpay for Geno? What's happening? What's this move? And for them to basically get Geno for a 3-year contract total, averaging out 30, 38. I think it averages out to 38 roughly after incentives if he reaches it. To me, I think it's a steal. You got a quarterback that you're paying him middle of the road money, and with a high upside of dipping into the top 10. I'll take it. I think it's a good contract.
No, facts. Severe. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. I think they were able to find a happy medium with the contract. I think it's 2 years, so it's like 70, 75 or something like that. But I think with incentives, it can go up to 85 if he reaches incentives. So that kind of that gives the Raiders, hey, it's a good deal on our end. It's under 40. I know everybody was worried about that $40 million mark. He's not quite at that $40 million unless he hits those incentives, and then at that point it pushes them a little bit above that $40 million mark. So, we all heard when we did our notable quotables on the 50/50 show, Mike Duggar, the beat writer for the Seattle Seahawks, for the Athletic, he was talking about how supremely confident Geno is in his abilities, and where he feels he's a top 5-ish guy in the league. And he was willing to go into the New York Giants and with Eli entrenched as a starter and compete and think he can beat him out. He was willing to go to the Chargers with Phillip Rivers there and feel that he can beat Phillip Rivers out. He was willing to go to the Seahawks with Russell Wilson there and feel that he was talented enough to beat him out. So, having that kind of confidence in yourself, you can put those incentives in a contract like that, and kind of sweeten the deal for a guy if he's looking for some more money. It looks like that's what the Raiders did. And the fact that Geno already has that relationship with Pete Carroll, I think that's what made it possible for the Raiders to trade for him and not already have a contract in place, just because there's already that relationship there. I'm sure he doesn't feel that Pete Carroll was going to do him dirty or let the organization do him dirty. So I think that they were able to have a little bit more time to kind of work through things. The Raiders consummated the trade in the meantime as they worked toward that contract. I think all parties, should walk away fairly happy.
That's a good point, because he does have a good relationship with Pete Carroll. Like, he pretty much talks about how he was the reason why, his career was pretty much revitalized. He comes to Seattle after literally kind of been labeled a bust all those years, and just had a wrong perception about him, and he was a backup, and no one really thought about Geno Smith ever like starting ever. And Pete Carroll gave him that opportunity, and the rest is history. He took that and he was able to prove everybody wrong. That being said, it's a great deal, because when do you ever see like a contract where, you see it sometimes, especially with the quarterback position, technically, usually they get paid. You know what I mean? They get paid more than what you wanted to get paid. And he got paid, you can make an argument probably under what he should have made. He probably should have made like 40. You can make an argument that he probably could have made 40 just based off how the market is and the quarterback position gets paid. And he gets paid less than that. And on top of that, you give him room to pretty much outplay the contract. There's room for him to outplay the contract. And if he plays, if he doesn't play as well, okay, Raiders gave it a shot, but it's not a contract where you're gonna look at it and be like, oh, that's a terrible contract. It's more so like, all right, that's what you have to do in order to compete. You gotta sign somebody, right? And they signed him to a deal where it's literally middle of the pack contract. You're talking about Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, you know what I mean? Like guys like that where, even a Sam Darnold, I was kind of surprised. I thought Sam Darnold was going to get paid a little bit more. He got actually Seattle got a pretty solid deal based off the year he had, but I guess it makes sense because he didn't, he never really had success outside of that Vikings year. But I just feel like it's a great value deal, and Spytek is out here. Every move he's made is he's not going to overpay for anything, nothing.
Yeah,
today,
apparently not.
Well,
right.
Well, Kappa. He definitely overpaid there. Definitely overpaid Kappa.
Didn't you? Sir?
Definitely overpaid Kappa. So, but other than that,
that was scholarship money. That's what that was. That was scholarship money for Kappa.
Well, we got to look at the guarantees of that contract, because I know Geno got like $66 million guaranteed in his contract, but Kappa, what's his guarantees? Because if it's not too crazy, that he could easily be cut. Because I know the other day they talked about competition.
Front-loaded. So I think we can walk away from him next year. I think it was front-loaded. I think his guaranteed money is this year. I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. And then I think in his second year we can walk from him, and he won't be there won't be any dead money or a cap hit, I think.
Yeah, and you just got to look at it from a value standpoint. I think the Raiders got a great deal. Now they'll be able to like focus on building the roster out. Does this officially we kind of knew ahead of time because they traded for Geno, but this makes it official. Do you think that the Raiders are going to pick a quarterback in any scenario? In
the first round?
In the first round.
Oh, unless Cam Ward falls to 6, no.
Right.
Unless Cam Ward falls to 6,
even
I don't see
Shador.
it.
Shador might drop to 6. They're saying the Giants are looking at
he may
that they might pass on a quarterback. So Shador might drop or might be there at 6. I should say.
I think the Giants are trying to influence a team to want to trade up. I think that's part of the calculation. I think they have. If they're smart, they have every intention of taking a quarterback.
Right.
So unless Cam Ward falls out, I don't believe that they take Shador at 6. Now maybe in a situation where if they trade down and Shador is still there, like I say they trade down to 10 or 11 or something like that, and Shador is still there, I think then you're having a deeper conversation about it. But standing pat at 6, I can't see them doing that. Pete Carroll is 90 years old and he's a part-time teacher. Like he's already started his second career already. So like he's not long for this. He's not long for the NFL. So I can't see them making a move that's not going to maximize their winning potential right now. No, that's why you sign a guy like Devin White to a 1-year contract. You sign Alex Kappa to a 2-year contract. You sign Geno Smith to essentially, a 3-year deal. Like you're trying to push all the chips in the middle of the table and win now. And that's what they keep saying, that they're going to win now. That's what Pete Carroll talked about. Spytech, I think he said the same thing also. They have every intention of winning now. Now, obviously, Spytech's job is to not only think about the here and now, he also has to think about the future. But I think it will be unwise for them to do anything that doesn't add a weapon for this team to help Geno Smith be the best player that he can be. Whether that be adding a defensive piece to give him more possessions, or adding some weaponry or protection for him, in the either on the outside a receiver, in the backfield at running back, or at tackle or guard.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I think what's tough is it's trying to you can read what they're saying, right? Pete Carroll's always he's about win now, and that's what he wants to do. Me personally, I hope we do not take Shedeur Sanders at 6. One, I want to trade back, but I hope we do not take Shedeur Sanders at 6. Even if we trade back to 12.
I thought that was QB1 for you.
Severe. I think I'm gonna end my show. I'm gonna be out of here. I'm gonna just cut my screen. But I think want to trade back. But here's my thing: is I've been kind of on the fence on whether or not I think the Raiders were going to try to prioritize a quarterback early, and I think the contract with Geno. And again, we don't know how it's structured. It could be front loaded, and then maybe we can exit out of the contract in that third year. But I think what's going to be really interesting is if it's front loaded, maybe we don't get a quarterback this year, unless someone falls, unless the value is there, maybe in the 4th or 5th round. Maybe we don't get a quarterback at all. We try to build up this roster as much as possible to support Geno, and get just a couple extra pieces on this defense, and we can find ourselves, truly competing in every single game, because that's what Geno brings to the table. Geno, you bring in Chip Kelly, and then now obviously you have Pete Carroll. I think Geno Smith just allows not only for us to walk into every game and be competitive, you now have a defense. The defense is going to know that when the offense walks on the field, we have a chance, which you give this defense, and if Patrick Graham can continue to get the most out of this defense, especially this front 7, at least the front 4, they're going to have a lot of confidence in this offense going in. If we bring the right pieces to complement what Geno can help with this offense and what Chip Kelly could potentially produce, this defense is going to play with confidence. And if they do that, it could be scary, to be dead honest. So I'm strongly we're going to get a quarterback early.
Hey, no, I agree. I think we kind of knew when Geno got traded for, like we kind of knew that the quarterback wasn't going to be taken early. We were like, maybe it's a possibility Cam Ward drops, but then there's no way Tennessee's going to pass on a quarterback. And then obviously everybody has mixed feelings about Shedeur. So maybe before they traded for Geno, maybe Shedeur was in play at 6, but once they traded for Geno at 6, it kind of told the Raiders on themselves on how they felt about the quarterbacks that were available in free agency and the quarterbacks that are available in the draft. Also, you made a good point, 805, about possibly the Raiders picking a quarterback at all, because I was thinking, you start thinking about the Raiders like needs, like we don't have a nickel corner. We need a linebacker. We can add someone we could add some guys on the D line, maybe a safety, maybe a ball hawk safety. I feel like Polamalu and Jeremy Chin are kind of similar. Maybe we need a deep safety in there. Maybe you can speak on that. I feel like we need a receiver. Like, we can go a lot of different directions outside of quarterback, especially when we already took it. The Raiders could look at it from a perspective like, all right, we got Geno. We can wait a year to draft a guy. But that being said, I'm gonna throw this in there, and then Severe, you could chime on this. The quarterback from Tennessee that was with the Patriots just got traded to Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, Joe Milton.
Joe Milton just recently got traded to the Cowboys for a fifth round pick, and I think the Patriots also sent out a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
And according to Vic Tafer, the beat writer for the Raiders, he said the Raiders were in on it. They were so that makes it kind of has me thinking like, all right, if they made that trade for Joe Milton, I'm sure they're going to go all in on the draft as far as other positions outside of taking a quarterback. Does that mean that the Raiders are going to take a quarterback in the draft, possibly later in the draft? Or does that tell you that the Raiders don't really value the quarterbacks in the draft?
What that tells me is that they view Joe Milton as better value as, let's say, since he went for a fifth, let's say the Raiders maybe offered a sixth, right?
A seventh. So,
or a seventh, right? Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, I would hope not, because he was drafted in the seventh. So maybe they offered a sixth.
Right.
So maybe their calculation there was that, because I feel the opposite. The fact that they were in on that lets me know that Tom Brady was in, like everybody, Aiden O'Connell he's in the film sessions with Tom Brady, and they're breaking down tape, and they're in the weight room, and Tom Brady is seeing this dude and is like, yo, this dude ain't it. We need, like, if Geno Smith goes down, this cannot be the guy. Because obviously they've been trying like hell to do everything they can to ensure that he never sees the field. Sorry, you Aiden O'Connell fans. It's like the writing is on the wall. The interest they had in Matt Stafford, the trade for Geno Smith, and them trying to go out and get Joe Milton. Like they don't feel he's the guy or the guy that they want to try to develop, right? Maybe he's a guy they want to keep around the organization, but they don't feel that he's a guy that they want to see the field. So they've probably felt that, you know what, hey, if we can go get Joe Milton for a sixth, he's better than any quarterback we're going to be able to draft this year in the sixth round. So if we can get that guy for a sixth, that's still a win. So in every other position, so that way we still essentially addressed quarterback in this draft class, because we're trading a sixth for Joe Milton, and we can go, all their other picks can go elsewhere outside of a quarterback, as opposed to, maybe they feel that Joe Milton in this draft class would be worth like a fourth round pick. Like the guys drafted around the fourth round or equivalent to Joe Milton. It's like, well, instead of drafting a fourth round quarterback, they can trade a sixth for him. And, that's 2 rounds of extra value they added just by making that trade. Now they probably have to go after a guy, who might be available in the fourth. I don't know who's going to be gone, who's be available. Maybe Milroe, maybe. No, he's probably a third round pick.
He's probably third.
Cal McCord, maybe, or Will Howard. Curtis Work, like that. All those, Dylan Gabriel, all those are putrid thoughts. Like the thought of those guys ever lacing it up for the Raiders makes me want to vomit. Like none of those guys I think will ever develop into good professional quarterbacks. It just is what it is. Of all of those guys, the one I have the most faith in is Cal McCord, but he's by far the least athletic of those guys. So he really doesn't fit as well in a Chip Kelly system. So I mean, they still have to go after a quarterback at some point in this draft class. Like I'm of the point until you have a young franchise guy, you go after a quarterback every single year. And once your quarterback gets past his 5th year contract and you sign him to a big deal, then you start going back after quarterbacks again. So you get a young guy, you let him play out those 4 years, you sign him to that big year, that 5th year deal. After that, you hit reset. You start drafting quarterbacks again, because you never know when that guy's going to want to walk out the door. You never know when it becomes too cost prohibitive paying him that much money to stay competitive, unless he's a top 5 guy like a Pat Mahomes or a Lamar or a Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots, I think they did it a couple times. They draft a guy, they develop him, under Tom Brady, and then they trade him for like a 2nd round pick, a 3rd round pick. You know what I mean? There's a business there's good business in drafting a QB, because teams are always looking for a QB, and you can always develop a guy and then obviously let him play a few snaps in here and like, oh my God, like he's unbelievable. He could be the next guy. He plays right under Tom Brady. The Jimmy G hype, right? And then didn't Jimmy G trade? I think they traded him for like what it says. I think got a 2nd round pick in return from the 49ers when they traded for him. But yeah, man, I mean, chime in on this 805. I mean, like, do you think the Raiders are? See, I know you said that they should be based off their needs, but now looking at the Joe Milton situation and how the Raiders were in on that, and they didn't, obviously they struck out, and the Cowboys end up getting them. Do you think that changes anything?
This is what I struggle with, is because this quarterback class is nothing like last year's quarterback class, right? Once you get past Jackson Dart, I think it kind of falls off pretty substantially a little bit, as much as however you like Jackson Dart or not, but he's definitely most likely going to be the third quarterback off the board.
I like Shook too. I think Shook is right there. I'll give Shook some credit.
I like Shook. I do, but it just depends on how much do you value him, and at where are you willing to take him, because the Raiders have so many needs still. And even though we have what looks to be a fairly competitive defense, because if you look at our front four, most likely going to be dominant, right? We bring back Isaiah Palomau, which is going to do a good job at the safety level. You got Jacorian Bennett if he comes back and he does what he did last year. Great. Jack Jones, let's see what Pete Carroll can do with him. But I think we definitely need to bring in another corner to kind of help out this cornerback room. Mm-hmm. Devin White and Elandon Roberts, let's see how they perform. But I don't think that we've addressed enough in free agency for us to have that luxury of just taking a quarterback because we want a quarterback. Yeah. I mean, if we want to truly be competitive this year, I think if you don't take a Jackson Dart, if you don't take a Shook, or, depending on even a Will Howard, right? A lot of people may not be high on Will Howard, but maybe Chip Kelly's high on him because he played with him in college or had him in college. Who knows? I'm not going to say I know or not, but yeah, I think what makes it difficult is we didn't do enough in free agency to give us the luxury to just take a quarterback, because I guarantee you there's going to be another Will Howard in next year's draft. There might be another Tyler Shook in next year's draft, or Kyle McCord in next year's draft. There's the receiver class is pretty deep. The interior defense line class is really deep. There's the linebacker class. The more and more I watch the prospects, the linebacker class is pretty deep. The running back class is really deep. I mean, these are all positions that we still need to get, and we only have 9 draft picks, depending on if we move around or not. So I just don't know if we've done enough in free agency to give us the luxury to just take a quarterback if one doesn't fall to us. Let's put it that way. That's why I'm struggling on whether or not. If we want to take a quarterback in the 4th, I'd rather take Danny Stuntsman, the linebacker, in the 4th, if he's still sitting there. We haven't picked one up. There's a Savion Williams, a receiver. If we don't get a number 1, there's other guys that I would prioritize over some of these later round quarterbacks, just because of the needs that we have and the talent that's sitting in this draft that could make us better day one. So yeah, that's why I'm struggling with taking quarterback late.
I hear you because it's funny because last year, let's rewind back to last year when where last year we signed Gardner Minshew, and we know Aiden O'Connell's a backup. We're like, oh, okay, Gardner Minshew contract, he got signed, high end backup, low end starter money. Okay, Raiders are still gonna draft the QB. You know what I mean? Our whole attitude was like the Raiders are still gonna address the QB position. They never did. And that was, you can say that probably contributed to downfall of the Raiders season. Obviously, the injuries on defense, but the quarterback play wasn't there for them to be successful. And this time around, it's a little bit different. I feel like we feel a little bit better with Geno Smith at quarterback. Obviously, we feel like Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. And on top of that, we recognize that, like you said, we have a lot of needs, and there are a lot of. And you know what? To keep it real, you said we didn't do enough in free agency to take to make a luxury pick and getting a quarterback to sit behind Geno. You could make an argument that taking a running back at number 6 is a luxury pick that the Raiders shouldn't be doing, especially with all the needs that we have. Yeah. And running back is one of them. But like you mentioned, that running back depth in this draft, you couldn't. And Spytek, he made it. He said it the other day when talking about the running back depth or depth in general. You could play around with it, and I think that was one of our notable quotables, Severe, where we played on the last show, and he was talking about how when you have depth at certain positions, you don't necessarily have to take the best guy at that position. You could easily take another guy. You know, there's an art to drafting. And man, hey, if Spytek kills the draft, man, we might have a guy at GM. We might have a guy, but we'll see. No. We'll see, man. But
agree. Yeah, I mean, to 805's point, you know, like this class is deep at certain positions, and depending on how the draft plays out and who's on the board, I think that will dictate how we approach those later picks. You know, if it's close, like if it's a situation where it's close between a certain position and close between a quarterback, you know, they might say, hey, you know what, we want a developmental guy. Like let's grab this guy. You know, like obviously Miro, he's gonna go too high. Like he's a perfect developmental guy right there, but he's gonna go much higher than I think. I think he's gonna go much higher. But that's like that's essentially Joe Milton, right? That's exactly what you're looking at with Joe Milton.
Right.
You know, like that's exactly what, like, you know, all the physical tools there. You need some refinement. But that's the mistake we made last year. You know, people always talk about I talk about Spencer Rattler all the time, but we took Tommy Eichenberg instead of taking Spencer Rattler, and now we still need a linebacker. We still like, yo, we have no linebackers. At least if you take a Rattler, you have a guy. Hey, you know what? This guy has some tools. Let's try to develop this guy. Like now we're looking at a backup quarterback and a linebacker. Like we filled no holes with the Tommy Eichenberg pick. Nothing at all. Just a roster spot. So that's why you don't want to put yourself in that same position again. You want to have a developmental guy there. That's what Dallas just did with Dak. You know, like that's and unless you have a young guy like the Patriots they were smart. They took two. We didn't take one. They took two, and we didn't take one. And guess what? They flipped that one that they took in the seventh. They flipped that for a fifth. So that's smart. They got some return on their investment. If we would have made a similar investment, we could have made a similar. Well, actually, we didn't even need to, because we'd have a developmental guy in the house and not have to worry about using further draft capital. Like, would I rather have Trey Taylor or Joe Milton? I'd rather have Joe Milton. Trey Taylor probably ain't gonna play, but I'd rather have MJ Devonshire or Joe Milton. I'd rather have Joe Milton. But I'd rather have Tommy Eichenberg or Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler by a effing mile, because Tommy Eichenberg is no good.
Don't get it. So there's at least one Tommy Eichenberg statement in every live. It's bound to happen. And then Instagram just gets fired up. Love it.
It's up there with Justin Fields, man. It's up there with Justin Fields.
And here's the other thing with Justin Fields. Here's the other thing that's really tough, right? Because I kind of teeter and go back and forth and going, look, I want to trade back from 6. And the one thing that we could do in the immediate is if we trade back, let's say you trade back to 12 or 10, what have you, and you pick up an offensive lineman, you shore up this offensive line. You know, we need help at the guard position. Parham is not the guard for the future. He needs to be a backup. He needs to be a rotational piece. And with that first pick in the first round, you shore up this offensive line to help Geno in the immediate. And then again, if you do like a Jackson Dart, then you just pull the trigger on Jackson Dart in the second round if he's there, and then you can start to build for the future. But that's the only situation that I see where we can truly just take a stab at a quarterback. And now you got your quarterback in the first, or you got your quarterback. You got an offensive line to build off of, and you can help Geno Smith in the immediate. And then now you can start plugging in some running backs, a receiver, maybe a corner, some depth at the edge. Because here's the thing: is you bring back a Malcolm Kuntz. If he's Malcolm Kuntz of 2 years ago, great. And if he stays healthy, great. But the thing is, our depth behind these edge rushers are extremely suspect. So that's another situation to where we need to find depth in the later rounds at the edge spot. And so
Tyree's first off the bench.
That is scary work. But that's the thing is, if you want to build, if you want to help now, but then also build for the future, maybe you do. You trade back, you acquire a couple more picks, you pick an offensive lineman to shore up this offensive line to help Geno, because we know that killed him last year, and you pull a Jackson Dart in the second round. and now you satisfy both avenues. So that could be a strategy that the Raiders are looking at.
Yeah, I agree too. Because trading back and adding more picks, maybe another second, you throw in a third, that kind of changes a little bit. Like, okay, maybe they can find a way to pick a quarterback, but then that, as of right now, it's just gonna be tough, man. I know, Severe, you said you got to take a quarterback at all costs. You got to have a guy back there, but Raiders can make an argument and say that we can wait a year, man. They can wait a year and grab a guy next year, but especially this year, because when you pay a guy like give him an extension, 2 years, $75 million, could go up to 85. Like, you're gonna try to get this guy weapons, protect him. Some guys on defense. You gotta make it easier. You gotta make it so where he could be successful. I think we lost Severe, but real 805, man. So, I mean, how you feeling? How you feeling about, like, I know we got Geno. We got the 6th pick. You're saying that it needs to be a trade down from number 6 at all costs.
That's what I would like. I think it's you trade down at all costs. I mean, it's never guaranteed someone's willing to trade with you, right? So, but if it was me, my hand would be on that phone just waiting for someone to pick up, right. Or to call. And so I would definitely take it. But here's the thing: is it's trying to, and I'm just talking about what I think Pete Carroll and John Spytek are going to do, right? Number one, Pete Carroll, he doesn't got forever. So I do think he's trying to win now. I think he's trying to win now. Are you going to try to prep a quarterback to see his success when you're not here? I don't know. I don't know if Pete Carroll's willing to do that. So I do think he's trying to win now. But two, you got Spytek. I don't know how far he's willing to trade back. You're a first-year GM. This is your first opportunity, your first ever first-round draft pick. I don't know how far back he's willing to trade back. And so I think you trade back far enough to maybe 10, and you still get whatever guy you want, knowing that he's going to be there. I know some people have talked about trading all the way back to like the late teens, and then you maybe snag a quarterback. But that's hard. I don't see a first-year GM trading that far back, because you have to make sure you nail your first ever first-round draft pick. So, maybe he goes back just at most a handful of spots. And if you want a quarterback, if Shedeur and Cam Ward are gone, I don't think you're picking Jackson Dart in the top 10 or top 11. So,
man,
I don't know.
I'm gonna throw this at you real quick. This is probably the first time that I've been more excited about the Raiders front office than the head coach or the QB. Geno Smith, we can all agree, like, he's a solid QB. I mean, if he plays great with us, that's cool and all. We all understand who Pete Carroll is, but we also understand, like, he's in his 70s, so our expectations ain't really through the roof. But we know that he's an all-time great coach. We understand that. But Spytek, the intrigue here to me is Spytek. Like, if we have a guy there that is getting the Raiders the best deals, that is drafting right now, it's too early right now because we haven't seen him draft yet. We haven't seen him get guys in the building. But if he's able to put together a roster, it might not matter who you got back there at quarterback or head coach, because you got the best roster in the league. You know what I mean? Like, look at what the Eagles are doing, because Howie Roseman is, like, literally flipping picks and getting Jalen Carr 1 year, and then the next year he's getting this guy. It's just crazy, like, how he's building that roster. It makes it so easy for whoever's back there to win. Do you feel like Spytek is the missing piece to the Raiders?
I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen. You look at he was able to get Malcolm Kuntz at a damn good contract. He brought Adam Butler back at a very good contract. We're not, Alice Kappa, That's another story. Jordan Meredith was brought back at a very good. I mean, I think we stole Jordan Meredith. I think Alex Kappa and Jordan Meredith's contracts should have been swapped because I think Jordan Meredith is going to be a very good guard for us. But then you also have some bargain deals that you're hoping it works out, right? And so my hope is that, he's going to come in and he's going to draft well, but we all know that he wasn't the guy making the final decision over with Tampa Bay. And so did he learn enough at Tampa Bay to understand how to maneuver himself in the draft, and how well does he see the board? Not just our board, but how well does he see other draft boards? And is his guy going to be there? Because I think, Farrell, you said it before, man, there's a science to drafting. And there's a lot of teams that do not draft well. Raiders are one of them. You know, where we think that this pick is obvious, and we go Alex Leatherwood. We think this pick is obvious, we go Cleveland Farrell. You know, it's just, I'm hoping. I do hope that he brings a little bit of what he learned over with Tampa Bay, and it turns into a solid draft. You could only hope that you're going to get 2 to 3 starters out of this draft, because if you do, then I think it's a solid draft. If you can find 2-3 starters every single draft, you draft 3 years in a row, you got yourself some solid players. So that's what I'm hoping for. Is he gets 2 to 3 solid starters out of this draft, and we can start building.
Shout out to Telesco. That kind of what he did last year. You know, with Bowers, JPJ, and obviously Glaze in the third. We weren't surprised that Bowers turned out to be a good player for the Raiders. I think Glaze probably was a little bit of a surprise, like him to be an early contributor and play well. JPJ was probably everybody's favorite pick of the draft, because we're like, man, we need a center or guard, interior O lineman, and we're able to get one of the best. A lot of mocks had him going in the first round. He dropped in the second, so it ended up being a great pick. But now Spytek has his chance to show what he can do in the draft. I'm excited because he's reading the market correct. Because going to free agency, everybody was saying it was a weak class. Moore got overpaid. You probably can argue, and I talked to Severe about this. You probably can argue maybe he could have kept one of the guys that left, one of the starters, maybe a Nate Hobbs, because when we kind of like looked at the deal, it was only $8 million 2-year, $16 million. You look at the guarantees, we're like, maybe Nate Hobbs, that might be a solid deal for Nate Hobbs, but he passed on it. I guess, checking in with the Raider coaching staff, and Pete Carroll probably telling him like, hey man, I can find a corner in the 5th round. I've done it before, so yeah, man.
I think my thing is, because Spytek's never actually been the head GM, it's hard to tell just how well he's going to do. And I do think that he's doing a pretty good job in free agency, evaluating, again, bringing good contracts. But I think the one thing that I'm more optimistic about, if we just talk about front office versus just coaching staff, is I think you have to have some optimism when it comes to Pete Carroll, only because he's done this before. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach, right? He still looks like he's got everything still there. He's still got his youth to him. And so if there is somebody that can turn this thing around and change the culture, and I think that's what Geno Smith is it's helping him change the culture, just have that confidence to go into every game and win and have that chance of winning. I think I have a little more confidence in Pete Carroll at this point, just knowing that I think he's going to try to put these pieces together and make it work as the players coach that he is. But by bringing Geno Smith in, it also tells me that John Spytek and Pete Carroll seem to be working well together. I mean, because ultimately it's the GM's decision to bring in Geno Smith, right? He probably has that final say because he's got to work this roster. But that just tells me those two guys, I think they're working really well together, and the communication is good. So I have my confidence, I think, is just more on the Pete Carroll side, and that's why I'm fairly optimistic on this team moving in the right direction.
When they asked who had final say on roster and decisions, things like that, they've kind of they've kind of said, they both said like it's going to be a joint thing. But when looking into like Pete Carroll and his past, it was kind of a similar setup with John Snyder. But I think, Pete Carroll being a greater coach like he had, I think he had a little bit more power than any regular coach. But they said that he rarely exercised that power. He let John Snyder be the guy scouting and picking the players. So what I'm trying to say is Pete Carroll works well with GMs. But we'll see. Yeah, you're right. I'm kind of hyped up a little bit. It's Raider off season. I'm excited because I'm like, all right, you know what? We haven't had, like, if we can get the GM right, that foundationally we could be set up to be successful for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
For a while, you know what I mean? Coaches can come and go. I know quarterbacks. That's it. They can come, but if you don't have the right guy at GM, it doesn't really matter. Like you'll see like we've seen it. You know what I mean? John Gruden was the GM. We've seen so many GMs come in and make, like, what are you thinking? Like we could have got C.J. Stroud one year. I mean, I know we had to trade up and get him, but there were reports saying that the Raiders had a chance to trade up and imagine C.J. Stroud being on the Raiders. I just feel like, and obviously all the missed draft picks, it's just, if we can get some stability at GM in that front office, and when I say front office, I'm also including the guy that no one, like in the shadows, Tom Brady, because he's a big part of this too as well, because he's gonna be in on the big decisions, and I think he's helping guide. He's the wild card, but. I mean, I like that he was able to get an interview with Ben Johnson. Yeah, I know back, before the show we were talking about how like he missed on Ben Johnson, but I don't think we would have gotten an interview if Tom Brady didn't figure out a way to get that interview done. He made it happen.
Probably not, and maybe this is just I don't know. I just feel like Tom Brady he missed. He has struck out quite a few times at this point,
Right.
And so he wanted Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, he got the very first interview with Ben Johnson. Didn't work out. Ben Johnson didn't even take a second interview with the Chicago Bears, and he left. He's like, I'm out, and at that point, Pete Carroll came over here, but the thing is, who else wanted Pete Carroll? Exactly. I don't know. There was a lot of coaching stuff. Nobody wanted Pete Carroll. I mean, there was a lot of head coaching openings, and I think those openings were waiting for their guys. And Pete Carroll, basically, I think Pete Carroll wanted to go to the Bears too. I think he interviewed with the Bears, and he ended up coming over here. So, at the end of the day, my verdict's still out on Tom Brady. Just he won a lot of Super Bowls, and he's a winner and stuff like that. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good man, a guy in management. So we'll see how that works out.
Right. It's too early to tell for sure.
Yeah. If you talking about the guy who I'm most excited for, honestly, is Geno Smith. I mean, that guy. Just if you look at the things he's done over the past 3 years, I think he's played some darn good football, in not so great circumstances. And Pete Carroll, you gotta give Pete Carroll credit for taking a chance on him. I don't think Geno Smith. Some people try to say like, oh, he's the one that revived Geno's career. I'd say he gave Geno a chance to revive his own career, because if you listen to the Seattle guy talk about Geno Smith never lost confidence in Geno Smith. It's just that he needed somebody to give him opportunity. Like even his quote after that first game when he went out there and he beat was it the Broncos? He beat that first game. I think was it him versus or whoever he beat that week 1 game, his first game as a starter. And he said, they wrote me off and I didn't write back. He didn't say, oh, they finally gave me a chance and I appreciate everybody. He made sure he let him know, like, nah, I've been this dude. They the ones that said I wasn't that dude. I've been knowing I was him. So, and if you look at it, Seattle had him and Pete Carroll under the same organization. Who do they choose to get rid of? They chose to get rid of Pete Carroll. Even this past offseason, Seattle wanted to bring Geno Smith back. They just didn't want to pay Geno Smith what he felt he was worth. And the Raiders ended up paying Geno Smith more than what Seattle is paying Sam Darnold. So it looks like Seattle, John Snyder, the GM, who's been the guy that's been there the entire time, working extremely closely with Pete Carroll, No, they made the decision, hey, we don't want Pete Carroll here. We do want Geno Smith here. And ultimately, Geno Smith made the decision, I don't want to be here if you're not going to give me what I feel I'm worth. And even though they offered him more money than what Sam Darnold is making, so they actually end up saving a little bit of money on the Sam Darnold deal. Just on the Tom Brady front, yeah, still a lot left to be seen. I mean, he got the Ben Johnson interview, but that wasn't a real interview. That was Ben Johnson doing them a solid. Like, okay, if Tom Brady comes calling, like I'm going to listen, right? Like I'm not going to just hang up the phone in Tom Brady's face. But I don't think at any point he ever really considered coming to the Raiders. You look at the Matthew Stafford thing. Now that's a little bit different. You know, you can say, hey, maybe with the Matthew Stafford, if he closes that deal, that's exclusively a Tom Brady deal. But then at the end of the day, right? Like the shots you almost make don't count as points, right? Like, oh man, I almost made that.
Right.
Man, if that would have hit off the backboard a little bit, but bro, you didn't make it. Like I don't care. I got the shot off though. I got it off with it. Now, I don't care if you got the shot off with a hand in your face, bro. You didn't make it. Like that's all that matters. So you know, like so far he's in the big moves. He's 0 for 2. You know, so. Like it remains to be seen how this season plays out. Like I said, I like having him in the organization. You want a guy like that. You want a guy that people around the league respect. You want a guy whose brand is synonymous with winning, synonymous with greatness, who's been there with, you know, in a great organization, won for a very long time. You want that in your organization. But right now, you know, like it hasn't paid dividends yet. Now it's still early. It's still early in the process. He's just got approved as minority owner not that long ago. So, like, I don't, you know, to expect instant results, that's kind of a lot to ask for. But thus far, you know, like you said, like the you got to check the scoreboard, and the scoreboard says he hasn't done it.
I hear you, but I think they're targeting the right people. They're going after the right people. I understand the shot. Yeah. I get the analogy. The shot didn't go in though, but my point is that like at the end of the day, like he's still trying to make that attempt to make the Raiders better. And to be honest with you,
here's the thing.
Honest with you, Ben Johnson and Stafford made the right decisions. They were the right decisions. You know, and why did Ben Johnson go to Chicago? There was a quarterback, a guy that went number 1 overall the year before, Caleb Williams. And then you have Stafford. Are you telling me Stafford is gonna remember the beginning of offseason when we heard talk about Stafford possibly getting traded? We're like, nah, Stafford's never gonna leave the Rams. Like Sean McVay, the Rams, and how they like they're on the up and up. Like they've gotten better every year. And now they're probably going to be one of the. They got a good roster around Stafford right now, and it wouldn't make sense for him to leave. And he didn't leave, so it's like I get you, but
here's the only thing that I'll say though is like I'm not saying Tom Brady isn't going to have a positive impact on this franchise. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is everybody is saying Tom Brady is going to be the reason why we become great. Like. That's what I'm hearing constantly out of everybody that is going to turn around this franchise. Yes. And I'm sitting there going, look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying he failed on Ben Johnson. He cleared the slate for Ben Johnson, didn't get it because Ben Johnson wanted a quarterback. Got it. So having a quarterback is more important than Tom Brady. He tried to get Matthew Stafford. Didn't happen. Matthew Stafford stayed there, which meant Tom Brady had no effect on Matthew Stafford coming over here. You know, so it's like, that's all I'm saying is that he could potentially have a positive impact. But what seemed to be more of an importance to the hot commodities out there was a better franchise, a better situation, and a better quarterback, not Tom Brady. So he hasn't moved the needle too much for us at this point.
Right.
Not saying he won't. I'm just saying if we're going to sit there and say he's going to change this thing around, he struck out a couple times. So
right.
But I'm not saying he won't be.
I think it's going to help that the Raiders probably get a little better, get a draft under Spytek's belt. You know, Geno, if he has a successful year, or we have another young QB there, you know, I think that's going to help. Where, you know, if Tom Brady comes into whatever free agency, interview, then Tom Brady might be the deciding factor. But like when you don't have a quarterback and the Raiders are coming off a tough season and they're, picking number 6, it's like, and also, the Raiders' reputation isn't really good. If you look at I remember Severe, you brought this up before about I think it was The Athletic that had an article about what agents thought. They ranked the NFL teams as far as, the most dysfunctional and to the least dysfunctional. And I think the Raiders came in at number 2?
Yeah,
behind the Panthers. So that's tough. That's what Tom Brady's coming into, and I think it's going to take a little bit. But hey, look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that it's going to work out, but I do agree if the Raiders are successful, Tom Brady is going to play a big part of that. If they're not, then Tom Brady is going to play a big part of that too. So
yeah. I mean, Mark Davis is giving him a lot of influence, so he's going to be a disproportionate part in whether we're successful or unsuccessful. So if we're successful, I'm sure people are going to give him credit for that. If he's not successful, I wonder if people will give him blame, because people will be out here, they be giving people passes. It seems like if you like a guy, you give the guy a pass, a la Pete Carroll hiring a game management coach. We didn't hear the end of that when Antonio Pierce did it. All we heard was why you need somebody to manage the game for you. Pete Carroll is 103 years old. Why you need a game management coach? This is supposed to be your wheelhouse, but ain't nobody say nothing about that. So they'll give him a pass. And then to your point though, right? To your point. So the reason the Raiders, and I said this when we fired Josh McDaniels, and people, Severe, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, everybody knows he had to do that. When you fired Josh McDaniels, I said I said two things. I said this will not reflect well upon the Raiders, and we would not be able to hire a young head coach. You can check the mother effing tape on this. I said both of those things, and y'all were like, "Oh no, nobody cares about that." And Josh McDaniels did such a bad job. The chat was like, "Oh no, the league will." And I said we won't be able to hire another young head coach because they will look at what happened with Josh McDaniels and they will say that can be me. And I will not put myself in that situation. The agents will look at what happened and they say I will not put my client in that situation, and it will be extremely difficult to hire a young head coach. This hiring cycle comes around. We don't get any interviews with any young head coaches outside of the courtesy interview given to us by Ben Johnson. Why is that? Because the Raiders cycle through head coaches too frequently. What is the first thing that Tom Brady and his regime did when they got here? They fired a GM that just had a good-ass draft, and they fired a head coach that only got a year to do anything when we knew he needed more than a year to develop. So the first thing we do is we repeat the same mistakes that put us in a bad position that we're already in. So that immediately makes me look at you like, should I have confidence in you when you see what just happened over there and then you do the same thing that has people looking at us sideways? The math ain't mathing with that, in my opinion.
Right.
Which, Pharaoh, when we were talking about earlier about kind of head coaches and stuff, I think what also may put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth was they brought on Antonio Pierce. And a lot of people felt like that was kind of the you don't bring on a brand new head coach, right? Antonio Pierce was just the interim head coach. And I think by bringing on Antonio Pierce, it gave them out to clear the pathway for Ben Johnson. And it looked like, Tom Telesco had a good draft. It remains to be seen what he did on the back end, but he nailed the first 3 picks. And when's the last time we nailed our first 3 picks? I can't remember. Maybe it was the Derek Carr, with Khalil Mack and all them. But the thing is that
Gabe Jackson, that was the last time.
It felt like what they did was they kind of set up AP and goes, look, you either make the playoffs or you're done. And then they sent Tom Telesco packing as well. And that doesn't send a good message across the entire league that even if you're a good GM and you actually do a good job in the draft, you're still getting cut because we kind of had our idea going into it. So that's the tough part that I think that they kind of painted to the league a little bit, is that Yeah, like you could do good, but we might move on anyways. And I think that's why they retained AP, knowing they could get away from him if they needed to. Because if you hired on another head coach, you got to sign him for at least 3 years. You're going to give him a 3-year contract, and now you're hooked into him, and you're set in that way. So I think that's why they brought on AP, knowing that they had an out. That just speculation, but I think that's why they probably did it.
This might be unpopular opinion. I just feel like
that's the thing. We don't know what they gave him, and we're still paying John Gruden and Josh McDaniels. So hell, you throwing money at coaches. If you don't think he's going to be the guy, then don't hire him.
I agree. But you know what though? This might be an unpopular opinion with everybody, but I think that Antonio Pierce and Telesco were placeholders. They were placeholders. They weren't hired seriously for the long term. Because if you hire someone and you sign them to a long-term deal, and you don't fire a GM after 1 year, you don't fire a head coach after 1 year. And if you really think about it, if you look at it like a Telesco, for example, he just got fired from the Chargers. GMs don't get second time, like they don't get hired again after failing the first time around. That doesn't happen. But the Raiders were highly impressed with Telesco. They probably were like, you know what, this is a guy that he can hold the fort until, Tom Brady becomes official as an owner, and then we'll have Tom Brady kind of chime in on who he wants in the building. Fast forward, you get Spytek in the building. You get Pete Carroll in the building, and maybe who else after that, because we know Pete Carroll's up there in age. But I'm just saying, it just feels like they were just there for 1 year. They knew I think Mark Davis, he did it for the fans at the time. We were all behind it, but when you fire a guy after 1 year, man, and that's all a different conversation. I know a lot of people are kind of mixed because people are going to be like, oh, well, AP, he didn't improve his game management and I don't even want to go back and forth about that, but you just don't hire someone with that much inexperience and then fire him after 1 year. It just come on, you got to give him an opportunity to at least develop as a head coach. But it is what it is. Let's move it along. Nazo says one thing you can't deny is Geno will have his best OC he's ever had, and the Raiders will be fun to watch again because Chip is going to influence those offensive signings in the draft. And I see some people. I see some people in the chat too. Shout out to everybody pulling up, and make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Some people are not believing in. Lake Show says Geno's average is hell, bro. Only hope is he's better than AOC, but we still need to get Shadur in this first round. Okay, but you're missing one thing though. It's Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll said he did in his opening presser. One of the things he said was that he doesn't believe that everybody. He doesn't believe in that the quarterback. There's only a few quarterbacks that can carry a franchise. It's like 2 or 3 that can, maybe a little bit more than that. That can literally are franchise QBs that can carry a football team. Everybody else, they need a lot of help. And that's what he's focused on. He's focused on building out that roster. Now, I 100% agree. If you want the Raiders to be successful and go to the playoffs and be one of the best teams in the NFL, I think it's a lot easier to build a team that is talented enough to take a QB to the playoffs than just hoping that this guy is going to be the next Tom Brady or the next Patrick Mahomes. That's tough. That's tough to do. What's your take on that?
Go for it, sir.
Yeah. I mean, look, I am. I'm not. Nobody's right 100% of the time when it comes to quarterbacks. Or players in general. But I'm the guy that said C.J. Stroud was going to come in and he was going to be top 10 quarterback top 7. I think I said top 7 by year 3. I'm the guy that before anybody was talking about Jaden Daniels, I said Jaden Daniels was the number 1 quarterback in his class. Before people were really talking about Michael Penix, I said Michael Penix was the number 2 quarterback in his class. And I said Caleb Williams would struggle translating to the NFL because of the system he played in, because he didn't know how to play under structure. I'm the guy that said that. I'm the guy that said when people were saying Shedeur Sanders was the number one quarterback in this class, I'm the one that said Cam Ward is the number one quarterback in this class. Now that seems to be the consensus. When nobody was talking about Jackson Dart early in the process, I'm the guy that said Jackson Dart was one of the top quarterbacks in this class. So I think I know a thing or two about quarterbacks. And Shedeur is not going to come in and be better than Geno Smith year one. He will not. He will not be better than Geno Smith year one. So if your plan is to be good, or year two, maybe by year three. So if your plan is to come in and win now, Geno Smith is unless you can get Cam Ward, Geno Smith is the best option. And there's a very good chance that Geno Smith is still better than Cam Ward is this first year. So if the plan is win now, Geno Smith is the best option you have, period.
For me, Geno is average. That's tough to say because, I mean, fair to your point, right? Pete Carroll's the one that got the best out of him. And the only thing that we know of is Geno is a competitor. He's going to come in and compete his ass off to make sure that he's playing at the best level that he can. And if Pete Carroll can get that out of him, like he did, back when they were playing together, or they're on the, head coach quarterback tandem, I'm game with it. That means that Geno's not going to be just average. That means Geno is going to be potentially an 8th, 9th ranked quarterback in the National Football League. So if we can get that out of him and build around him a little bit, right? Build up this offense, get him another weapon at the receiver, get him a running back. Geno has the opportunity to really make this offense go, especially with Chip Kelly. So, we can look at one. I do not want Shedeur Sanders, not at all. Not at 6, not even if we trade back, into the teens. I don't want Shedeur Sanders. I'm not going to get into that. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like Shedeur Sanders. But I think, honestly, Shedeur Sanders' ceiling, absolute ceiling in the best case scenario, is similar to what Geno is. And so, and to me, that's his absolute ceiling. But I don't think that to call Geno average is tough to say. Putting him back in a scenario that it actually worked for him and he found success. So I'm excited to see what he can do in this environment as long as we bring some weapons around him.
Yeah, I think the pieces around Geno, and I think that goes back to the draft too as well. Like they're gonna have to with signing Geno to this contract and you going out and trading for him. I think that's going to influence the draft. They're going to have to grab a receiver. They for sure got to grab a running back or two. You know what I mean? I hope. But even grabbing two might be tough to do, especially with all the.
And here's my thing is, I don't, I'm not going to hear and say that I think Geno Smith is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Because I actually don't think he is. I don't think he's there. I think what Geno Smith is going to do is he's going to be able to kind of help us change this culture and get us moving in the right direction. I think he's without question a playoff caliber quarterback. He can get us to that spot to where we're now competing. I think that's kind of Geno Smith's ceiling a little bit. So, I think Geno Smith is here to kind of help set us in a path that's going to put us on that winning track. But I still question whether or not he's actual Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't think he is.
No, we're not saying Geno Smith.
I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to carry you to a Super Bowl. I think if you put Geno Smith on those 49ers teams instead of Brock Purdy, I think the 49ers win a Super Bowl. I think if you put him on the Eagles team that just won the Super Bowl this past year, I think the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So I think if you have a very talented roster around Geno Smith, he can win your Super Bowl. But I don't think he is the guy that's going to carry you to a Super Bowl.
You could possibly make an argument for that, but like Alex Smith, I think that's a fair enough comparison as far as like what you would want Geno Smith to be, like a guy that's able to be a solid starter, and then hopefully they get a young QB, develop him, and then that young QB could take the reins and become that franchise QB, a la Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. I think that's like the scenario that I hope can happen. But like you said, it's going to be tough to see if the Raiders can like actually draft a QB this year. We'll see. But yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, if y'all just joining us, y'all just finding out Geno Smith officially signed with the Raiders. It's a 2-year deal, up to $85 million. He's still under contract one last year, so it's a 3-year. He's going to be with the Raiders for at least 3 years. But yeah, man, the Raiders officially signed Geno Smith. Now the Raiders out of draft. So I guess it's a good segue to go into our mock draft. Let me go ahead and set this up real quick. Here we go.
I got to do another mock draft with Severe.
Another one.
This is a collaborative effort.
Man.
I will defend my championship on Sunday. I will defend my title on Sunday.
Severe's IT.
And I might have a surprise. I might have another surprise in store. We shall see.
Oh, y'all having mock draft tournaments? Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all have mock draft tournaments, man. That's crazy.
We are.
All right, that's
fair.
Cool. That's cool.
Farrell, you might have to join us one time on Sunday.
We got to for sure.
I can't say it's not much of a tournament. It's more of
who's winning.
I win, and they participate.
Who's in the lead right now?
Severe's IT guy's winning. That's what's happening.
Severe's IT guy. That's crazy.
Severe gets all
in a row. 3 in a row.
Look at this. Look, Farrell, let me ask you just one question before we get this thing started. Have you ever seen a mock draft where you could trade back? You could trade down in the draft and still get Travis Hunter? I don't think so. But Severe's IT guy made it happen.
What pick? What pick was Travis Hunter available?
I think he got. He got to trade. He traded back one.
I gotta mess up.
Oh, yeah, that's
because they didn't want. I was gonna trade back more, but I won the first week, and then then I won the second week. They said I traded too much, so this time I didn't really trade at all. I made the one small trade. I turned down some trade, and I still won. They made the other time. There's all Severe always go last. That's why he won it. So I went first, and I still won. I just
and then Farrell, I go up. I get no trade offers. I will
say 805 made no trades, and he had a hell of a draft. Like making no trades at all. He had a hell of a draft with no trades. I'll give him that. He had a clean draft with no trades.
All right. Well, you know what? Hey, we're gonna have to work well as a team today, man. We got to work well today, man. We got to. Before you guys go against each other on Sunday, so let's teamwork makes the dream work. So let's go ahead and we'll make this 4 rounds. I think every week we've added a round, so we're gonna do 4 rounds this week, and we'll entertain anything, whatever the best possible. So I know, 805. You've been saying trade down, so we'll see what the offers are. If there's no good offers, then we're gonna stay at 6, and we're gonna go ahead and make the pick at 6. Now, is there before we get this started? Is there a scenario where the Raiders should trade up? Is there any scenario for any of the guys that can go early that you would trade up? Like, let's say, for example, at pick 4, there might be a guy that you like, maybe a Travis Hunter, maybe maybe Cam Ward is there. Are we trading up? Should we make this realistic and we trade up? Just have fun with it?
Personally, no.
I don't see any scenario in this draft we trade up. That's just me.
Okay. All right. So pick 6. We're either picking at 6 or trading down. So let's go ahead and let's make this turbo. Let's go make that super fast. So let's should we make it super fast? Turbo? I mean, there's no reason
because we're not gonna trade up. I don't think
unless unless if I slow it down. Let's say if there's a player on the board, we know that he hasn't been picked yet. And let's say, we want to trade up a little bit. Like I'm not at 6, but let's say we trade down, or we're in the second round or a third round, and we want to trade up,
move up, Michael Murray and something like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's been scenarios where I've seen trade back, right, stockpile some picks, because the reality is, if you look back, and if we want to make it as realistic as possible, but the Raiders in the last 20 years, they've only averaged maybe around 8 picks per draft. The most they've ever had was 11. The least they've had is I think it's 5. And so they usually have around 8, possibly 9 picks. And so what I've seen, some scenarios where I'll trade back or trade down, I guess, stockpile 2 or 3 picks, and then find myself trading back up and getting rid of those, and still ending the draft with about 8 picks, 9 picks. Because if a guy's there and you want to go, trade back up in the 5th or the 4th, man, you just pull that trigger. You go get your guy. So,
what happens? Abdul Carter is available at pick number 5. Are we not trading up for Abdul Carter?
No,
not me. I want the draft picks. I want to build this roster. We got too many holes.
At all costs, man. Spytek does love his draft picks, though. That's the one thing that he's not going to. It's going to be hard for him to give up some draft picks. Obviously, you could just tell by his interviews and things that he says, and then his actions too as well. Like, they could have easily traded for Milton, but he was like, 5th round pick, it's a little bit too much. We're not going to.
We have 3-6. So we literally have 3-6. So you could trade a 5th round pick and still have plenty of picks in this. We still have 7 draft picks in this class, or more than 7.
I know, so which makes it surprising. But if the fact that it didn't happen, it tells you that the Raiders probably were like, no, we're like they're pretty cheap about as far as the compensation, because it was the Cowboys was a better deal for the.
And we're gonna get a 7 back too. So if the Raiders draft pick in the 5th is higher than the Cowboys, so if they would offer that exact same deal to the Cowboys, they get Joe Milton.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave it right there.
Unless the Patriots just didn't want to deal him in the AFC. That's the only thing I could think.
Right. So let me go ahead and start the draft real quick. Just want to make sure everything's set up. 4th rounds. All right, cool. So let's see. Start the draft. All right, so Cam Moore gets picked number 1. No one's surprised there. Shedeur Sanders going number 2. Travis Hunter number 3. Oh, Abdul Carter was there at 5. Wow. I called it. I called it too. I called it. Okay, Raiders are on the clock. T-Max on the board. Ashton Genty. We got Will Campbell, Jade Barron, Tyler Warren. Everybody wants a tight end. 33 years in a row. Malachi Starks, Jade Campbell. Let's look at the trades before we. Let's see. Okay, New Orleans is interested. I don't think any. Do we want to go all the way to 17? I'm not sure if we want to go all the way down there. But if we go all the way to 17, then that means we probably can get like a whole. We can get a trade kit package.
I like 9. What are they giving us? Are they giving us a second too?
So the way PFF works is you create the trade. So what they tell you is that these teams are interested in trading up, and you just have to make a trade package that they agree to. And there's this little percentage thing that tells you they have a 50% chance of accepting or 20%. So like we could play around with it and figure out the best deal by doing that.
We can go to 9. We can still get Tedoroa.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So pick number 9. Obviously they want pick number 6. We gonna get that number 40 for sure. Let's get
that 40.
You know what? I'm going after the 71 too. Oh, trade will not be accepted. So this is so what I like about PFF is that you can actually throw in a player. So this is where we throw in. We'll see what happens if we throw in Michael Mayer. Barely.
Throwing a 5th. Let's throw in a 5th.
Throwing a 5th or a 6th.
I would start with the 6th.
Try 6th.
All right. This is one of the 6, right?
They didn't move the needle at all. Right?
All right, let's see.
They laughed at you.
I think just do just do the 2nd.
Oh, so here's the 5th. 143 is the 5th. So that's 29%.
All right, so take off that 3rd. Take off that 3rd. Let's go. Take off the 3rd. Take off that 5th. Let's just see 6 for the first for their 9th. We're moving back 3 spots, and you pick up a 2nd. I think that's a fair trade.
I'm gonna offer the trade. We'll have like about a certain amount of attempts to do this, so we'll just throw in this and see what happens. There is a 34% like so. Number 9, 2nd round, 3rd round. Obviously, pick number 6. This is a 4th and a 5th.
And Michael Mayer.
The tough part.
Yeah, that's tough.
Tough part with that, man. Tough part with that is that after.
Oh,
after
accepted. They accepted it.
Man.
Woo! Yeah. Sayonara, Michael Mayer. Let's go.
The tough part with that is what?
The tough part of that is we have a massive gap. Unless we trade back in like the third and stockpile some picks, we have a massive gap between, I think, our third and our sixth.
Yeah.
Because go back and look at what our picks look like now.
Let's see. Let's go look at picks. Let's go 9, 37, 40, 68, 71, and then
108.
108.
108, and I think we drop all the way to like 213 or something.
Yeah.
We got 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and fourth.
Oh, well, we're dropping through the fourth.
Because that was a fifth and a sixth. So 180. Yeah, so it's going to be a big drop.
But we got another 6 though. So we just don't have a pick in the fifth. We have two more 6, and then that'll be it.
Yeah. Well,
and then the 7th, two more 6 in it, 2 more 6 in the 7th.
We could always trade back like the 71 pick depending on what's there, and maybe snag our fifth back.
Yeah, because we picked 68, then 71. So that's cool. Because that's good because our picks are back to back. So if we get 37, then we pick right again at 40. So we can really trade back from the 37 or from the 40.
So yeah, we got some room to move.
Hey man, y'all hilarious. All right, so trade is accepted.
Checkers, right?
Yeah. So trade is accepted. We're able to get it done with Michael Mayer and pick number 6, a fifth and a sixth, and we get an extra second and extra third. So these could be really good picks, really good players. All right, so let's go ahead and see who the Saints. Will Campbell. They trade up for Will Campbell. All right. So Ashton Genty got picked at 7. So for all the Ashton Genty guys, they got picked at 7. Jade Barron got picked 8, and now we're on the clock. Is T-Mac the pick here, or are we looking somewhere else?
I'm going Tetaroa.
We looking at Will Johnson here, possibly corner.
Oh yeah,
I like T-Mac.
Yeah, I'd go really Will Johnson or Tetaroa.
I want one guy that, depending on how the draft falls, my favorite offensive tackle is Kelvin Banks in this draft. So it's depending on how the draft falls. Sometimes Tetaroa goes a little bit earlier. I'm either going T-Mac or Kelvin Banks and absolutely solidify this offensive line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Spacey says
yeah,
Ted.
All
right.
Yeah, I'm going Ted. I'm going Tetaroa.
T-Mac's the pick.
Game with that.
Let's go. Let's make the move. T-Mac gets picked at number 9. Golden goes right after. Let's see. Cat Williams, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green. Your guy Grant Sevier went to the Bengals, I think.
Ken Grant.
Yeah.
We still got Tyleek.
Maury Hampton went to the Rams. That's crazy.
That's crazy. What? They just picked up Blake Corum, and they got Kyron Williams.
That's why, man. These mock drafts are tough, man. They never play out exactly how.
Oh, dang. Okay, know what? So we got a few options here. We can see what they got at running back, but I'm looking dead at Tyleek Williams. But if Travion Henderson is there, I might go.
All right, so let's
I like
see.
Josh Connerly too, though. I like Josh Connerly. A lot of people be on Mimbu. I like Josh Connerly better than Mimbu. Be 100% real.
Xavier Watts is nice too. You said Tyleek Williams.
I like Josh Connerly as well. I mean, again, it's just trying to shore up this offensive line. Because here's the thing: the more and more I look at the offensive tackles and guards, I think that's probably one of the weakest classes. I mean, once you get kind of outside of those top 3 or 4 tackles, it tends to drop off pretty substantially, especially at the guard position. I think the guard position drops off pretty bad after the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, if you're looking at pure guards, yeah, but I think with this class, well, as in most classes, a lot of these tackles aren't going to play tackle. They're going to play.
Does Josh?
Yeah.
808s. Does Josh have potential to play left tackle?
Still, that's the thing though. That's the thing about Josh currently is that he struggled. He's a left tackle, and he struggled playing right tackle in the Senior Bowl. So that's the only thing about Josh currently.
The reason I asked is because I believe Colton is approaching. Is his last year on the deal? I think it's his last. This might be his last year on his deal. The Raiders could possibly address tackle, and maybe gives them a little bit of leverage without Colton Miller. Doesn't mean that they might not re-sign Colton Miller, but like just in case, like hey, if it's the way Spytech moves, is like hey, if it's not our price, we're not gonna do it. So.
And that's the thing, right? That's why I actually like Kelvin Banks. Again, it's just kind of going back to the first, but if Kelvin Banks is our first pick, you can put him at right tackle, and if Colton Miller's gone next year, you move him over to left, and now you have your left tackle of the future with that 5th round option moving forward. So that's one of the reasons why I like Kelvin Banks early in the 1st round. But what are the running backs that are open or available?
Let's go to run. Scatterbo, we got our pick of the litter.
Henderson's still down there, huh? Okay.
But mind you, we do have another one coming up in about a couple of picks, pick 40, and there's still a whole bunch of running backs like that we can go with. Or we don't necessarily have to go with one this early.
What guards are available?
Let's go guards. Interior line. Oh, whoops. Let me.
Unclick running back.
Yeah, let me do that.
Tell you right, Lich, with my guy Willie Lampkin. That's my new. Hey, that's my new fan favorite, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Willie Lampkin, bro. Hey, that's my dog. Hey, that's my dog right there. That is my dog.
So according to PFF, like those are guys that like will probably be there a little bit later, as far as guards. So we probably could wait on that. Hey, if you want to go offensive line, we can go Josh Connerly and do something different. I know Tyleik Williams has been a popular guy, getting picked in the 2nd on Severe is your guy that you've been picking consistently. But maybe to change it up, we go Josh in the 2nd. We go Josh Connerly.
The hard part is Josh would end up playing right tackle, which I'm not sure if he would beat out DJ Glaze.
He's not here. He's not a right. He's the guy that plays left tackle. So right now, it wouldn't help us win immediately. I think Tyleik Williams is the guy. Tyleik Williams is the guy that helps us immediately.
Okay.
If you want to look at some corners,
safety. Are you?
I mean, I know Xavier Watts. Xavier Watts is a ball, but I like Bowman later, and I think Bowman is a guy later on. He's a guy that can. I couldn't think of the guy's name the other day, but it's Brian Branch. I think Bowman is in the Brian Branch mode where he can play post safety, but he's also a guy who can play nickel corner, and I think he can be very effective in both of those roles. He's a guy that should be available probably in the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what the chat is every talking about. Okay. Jonathan Studio says Connerly at 37, Tyleik at 40.
Yeah, I struggle with Connerly. I just struggle with Connerly only because I don't think he's gonna either he does start in DJ Glaze, we can bump him down to guard, but I just don't know if Connerly's the right tackle that we need. I don't think he'll beat out DJ Glaze.
Yeah. I'm going Tyleik and Travion. That's me.
All right. So Tyleik.
I'd be cool with Tyleik, and then maybe we could trade back that 40 depending on what's because it's only a couple, and we can recoup some of our draft picks. But
we can do that.
And Jonathan, if we pick Connerly and Tyleik at 40, it'll be risky because the Bears got a need at D line. Yeah. So Bears could easily pick Tyleik possibly.
Yeah, they need a D line and an offensive line too, low-key.
Yeah,
right. But according to it's running back, D line, and safety. So let's go Tyleik, man. Let's not go against the grain. We could just grab. I was looking at Xavier, but all right, Tyleik Williams.
I also like Trey Amos. I like Trey Amos, but it's a pretty deep cornerback class too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm good with Tyleik.
I like Maxwell Harrison too, though. Yeah. But let's go. Let's go Tyreek.
All right, Tyreek's the pick. TJ
No,
Sanders.
he cramped up.
All right, so Bears end up getting Caleb Johnson on this one. So 40, pick 40. Connerly still on the board. Let's. Are we looking at running back here? We considering running back because it's gonna be. I feel like Caleb just went right now. There might be a run. If we wait all the way to the third, we might miss out on some of these top guys. Is
Where do we pick in the third?
A guy?
Where we pick on the third?
We pick 68. Pick 68, I believe. Yeah.
You know what? 68. If Siobhan Revel was there, still at corner, I think you got to go. The value there is too good.
Well, guess what? We got some people wanting to trade. Okay, we got the Jets wanting to trade up. We got the 49ers wanting to trade up at pick 43.
Go with the Jets. I think the Niners might take a corner, but if they do, then it might be Trey Amos. But all right, I don't want to trade with the Niners. I'll be honest with you.
All right. So let's pick with the Jets since we like to do business with them a lot these days. Okay, so
40, pick 40,
pick 42 for pick 40.
And let's see if we can get the 110.
Let's see. Oh, they're not gonna accept that.
They ain't gonna accept that. That's only. No. Yeah, they ain't gonna give up a whole. Let's see if we can get 110.
I'm thinking they're one. I'd be curious if they give 110.
Yeah, you think 145?
I'm thinking 145 because you're only moving up two. They're only trying to move up 2 spots.
Should we throw in Zamir in this trade?
That's not gonna move the needle.
Not gonna move the
needle. We might have to give them another draft pick and Zamir White.
Yeah, they're not gonna give up 73. They're not gonna give up 73. Let's
try this. 42, 73, 40 foot 108. Let's see how bad they want pick 40 to pick their guy. It's a 25% chance of making it. If it doesn't work, then we'll probably change the combination here. So let's off the trade. They say no. I tried, man. You got to start off low. You know what I mean? Got to work our way up.
First, trying to work his magic, as much magic as possible.
Man. Okay, so 110. This trade is lopsided. Oh, okay. Take off.
If we take off 108, that's perfect. Yeah. Let's do that.
Oh,
see if we want to give up 145. See if 145. Let's throw on 213.
46, almost 50% chance.
Let's try that. If not, we can take off our other one.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's take off 213 and 145. Let's get the 110, and I think that's solid.
Yeah. See if they'll pull the 110.
Yeah. Take off 145. That's 110 is good. That's good. I think that's good. That's guaranteed. That should be almost guaranteed taking it.
All right.
This is our last chance to. Yeah. So
there you go.
I'm good with that.
All right. We recouped something. There we go.
There you go. Let's get back to the draft and see what happens here. Xavier Winston. Okay. Wow, it's damn.
If you're watching, okay. So let's see. But they did say that need a safety.
They traded up for Josh Beck.
What?
Or Jack Beck, I mean.
Hey, let's go. If Siobhan Revel is there, I think you almost got to go Siobhan Revel. Siobhan Revel he's probably go first round. Yeah,
he's still there.
I would
Maxwell
take
Harrison. You got a pick of corners here.
I like Darian Porter too, but of those guys, I think Siobhan Revel is the best. I think Trey Amos would be the second best of those guys, but I think Siobhan Revel is the best. I'd
be good with either one. I think Siobhan Revel, just because he's 6'3", he's got a lot of height to him. I think between both of them,
that's a Pete Carroll type.
I think they're fairly similar.
Do any of these guys give you a little bit nickel versatility? Can they go inside, or are they only strictly outside corners?
I think they're strictly outside, all three of those.
I think they're strictly outside corners. But I think if you do that, you might be able to move. Well, depends on what you want to do. But yeah, I think Revel is almost too good to pass up.
I'm cool with Revel because outside of that, I'd go offensive line. But if Revel's a better value right now,
did you want to? I think Revel is the Well, let's see what we got. We see what we got on offensive line.
Yeah, I think Connerly's still there.
I do like Connerly, but if it's Rock Conley or Revel, I'm going Revel, even in that situation. And then and my guy thing, mind you, my guy I've been talking about for months, Trevion Henderson is still there, and even then, I'm saying Revel is almost too good to pass up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you've always been on Trevion Henderson.
Well,
this running back class is so deep.
Do you feel like there's a big difference between these corners? Because at pick, I think Bengals are looking to trade up from pick 49.
I think Revel is more of a Pete Carroll type of corner that he would like.
Yeah, I'm going Revel.
So,
all right,
he's tall corner, fast. I think he ran in the 4.3s.
I think it was a 4.3 guy. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.3s. That's 6'3". He's a guy that I think he's at East Carolina, but I think he got offers to go to like Alabama and some other SEC school. Almost Quinyon Mitchell situation last year where he could have gone to an ACC school and got big NIL money, and he elected to stay where he was at. So Revel is a dog. Yeah, Revel is a guy.
Oh man! All right, Siobhan Rello sounds like the pick at I'm
good with it.
At pick 42nd. All right, let's go ahead and do it.
Because I think it's him or offensive line, and I'm not.
At the next pick, who got my guy Willie Lampkin? No, that's what I'm looking at. My guy Willie Lampkin. I will be getting a Willie Lampkin jersey, unless it's like an AFC West team.
Henderson went to the Panthers.
Yeah, I figured as much. That's why as soon as we didn't pick him in the second round, I knew we wasn't getting him. But like I said,
yeah,
the value was too good.
Went in top of the third. All right,
value was too good.
Running back.
Let's take a look at guard real quick.
Yeah, we got to look at O-line, see what we got going on there.
Tate. Well, I like Tate, but I think we might still be able to get him though. We got another pick. We got
pick 71. I'm going Dylan Sampson here. We have to.
Yeah, we can go running back.
We can go Dylan Sampson, and we can go Tate Ratledge right after.
Well, actually, let's look at the running backs that are available right now. Dylan Sampson, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens, Devin Neal. Y'all agree with Dylan Sampson being the pick here?
I'll take Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson and
Tate
Ratledge.
I'm good with that. And then we could follow it up with Ratledge and try to shore up this offensive line.
All right, Dylan Sampson. All right, so pick 71. So it's 3 picks later.
I'm going Tate Ratledge.
Let's see. So the Jets are calling again at pick 73. They want to trade up to pick 71. Are we considering? Are we taking? We taking the you said offensive guard here.
Yeah. After this pick, what's our next pick?
Our next pick would be in the 4th round, I believe.
I think it was the 110 pick we got, right?
108. And we got 108 and 110.
110.
We got okay.
Take a look at because Ratledge, where he's ranked. Take a look at the linebackers. I just want to see what's on the board.
True. Yeah, let's see what's there.
Chris Paul, Jeff. Okay.
I like Jeff. I like Jack Kaiser. I like Barrett Carter, and I like Jeffrey Bossa. He's okay. I like Jack Kaiser.
I think Jeffrey Bossa is a little
Barrett Carter.
Undersized.
Huh?
I think Jeffrey Bossa is a little undersized. He might struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I like and Barrett Carter. I honestly, somebody asked Vinny Bonsignor, who's a guy he likes in the later rounds. He said he mentioned Jack Kaiser.
Oh, Jackson Dart's still there.
Jackson Dart still here.
What round are we in? Third?
We're in the third.
Yes, not
Jackson Dart's still there.
And because Jalen Murrow got picked in the top of the third round.
And they have Will Howard ranked above Jackson Dart.
And Riley
Leonard.
Look at his average draft position. It was 41.8. So they even their model says Jackson Dart should be gone already.
Yeah, that's crazy work. I mean, shit. I think just value-wise, I mean, I think you take Jackson Dart.
Yeah,
you gotta take him. Yeah, I think you gotta take him.
I mean, third round.
Dylan Gabriel.
Where were you Where were you guys looking at right now? Were you looking at thinking about linebacker here or interior?
Thinking at linebacker or offensive line, but Jackson Dart, that value is too crazy. That value is too crazy.
It is.
You gotta take him.
Dork says take Teddy Buchanan. John Sue says Dylan Gabriel.
He's been on Teddy Buchanan since Sunday. He's Teddy Buchanan guy.
And I looked him up. 100%. I like Teddy Buchanan. I liked him.
That's the guy from Cal, right?
Yeah. But I think I liked him a little bit later.
Raiders Zacchaeus Harvey guy.
I do like Teddy Buchanan though. Huh?
Nah, I was reading the message here. Some people are a big RJ. I think Raiders Zach is a Harvey. Okay.
RJ Harvey. The hard part about RJ Harvey to me is he's just. I struggle. Yeah, I struggle with running backs that are 5'10" and under, and he's a pure speedster guy. So he's.
He's 5'8". But as I said before, Spytech and the Bucks, they had some success taking a guy like Bucky Irving, who's 5'8", but they took him in the 5th. So
yeah, exactly.
So I think they found the sweet spot in terms of value there with Bucky Irving. A lot of people liked him, thought he would go earlier. So I think Jackson Dart, the value is too good.
Yeah, and I think the Jets are. And I think the Jets are trying to trade up to draft Jackson Dart because they have a need at QB, obviously. So. Yeah. So let's go ahead and, what I'm saying? Hey, man, I have to check QB real quick. Y'all.
Facts.
Let's go ahead and draft Dart here.
Check you, but I mean, shit, never knew Dart would be sitting there.
I know, right?
Man, exactly.
But you know what? To be fair, the draft, it always something unexpected always happens. Like the Raiders not picking a QB last year. You know what I mean? Like, 6 quarterbacks get taken in the first 12 picks, and then not another QB gets taken until the 5th round. So, like, stuff like that happens.
Man, I think at this point,
Radley went in the late 4th or late third. He went.
I think at this point, the guard that I like is that Josh Gray at Oregon State. Superior guy, Charles Grant, William and Mary.
I like Charles Grant. That I know my guy Chris was hating on Charles Grant. Charles Grant, he's a developmental guy, right? Obviously, he's a developmental guy. He's from small school, but the dude is 6'5", like 300-something pounds. He's a great motor, great movement skills. A former wrestler, so he knows about leverage. 35-inch arms. The only thing is that he does need to be coached up a little bit. He's only been playing football for a short period of time, but he walked into William and Mary, never having played football, gained 60 pounds, went from a reserve to a starter to a All-American, and a unanimous All-American in Division II football. So I think he's a guy that if you want a developmental guy, he's a developmental guy. All the tools were there for him to be a very good player, and we know that. Spytech and the Bucks, they have no gripes about taking small school offensive linemen. They did it on several occasions.
I think I'm with you. It's a very.
My guy Willie Lampkin though. My guy Willie Lampkin is there, bro. Hey, that is a fan favorite.
We do pick at 110. So
hey, look, I'll go back to back. Look, both of these guys are. Look, I will full disclosure on Willie Lampkin. Full disclosure. Before you make that selection, because I don't want full disclosure. Willie Lampkin is only 5'10".
Go back to linebacker. I think we got to see what's on the board.
He's only 5'10". He's only 5'10". But that dude's been starting since he was a freshman.
That's crazy. He's the size of a running back.
He's 5'10", 270, but he's been starting at 5'10", 270 in Division I football since a true freshman at guard.
How many batted balls at the line of scrimmage?
I don't know. The dude won offense. He won interior offensive lineman of the year I forgot what conference Coastal Carolina is. And Coastal Carolina has been a good program like the past few years. They've been a very good program.
Let me guess. Lower center of gravity. Is that what it is?
That's his game. That's his game.
That dude is
low man wins. Low man wins.
That dude is a bully, man. I watched him. Look, if you want to watch some offensive lineman tape, and it to be fun, that is the funnest tape I saw at offensive line.
But he's got to be he's got to be mean as all hell at 5'10", 270.
Yeah,
I mean, that's 5'10".
My guy
cleats
Clark said
on.
he was an All-American wrestler. He was an All-American wrestler.
Yeah. So he's got that leverage on him.
Okay.
That dude's mean, bro. That dude's a book. That dude's out there. He deboing dudes. The smallest dude on. He's out there punking dudes.
5'10" though? Is that even?
Man, look. Tell you what. Watch the tape. Watch the tape on him. The dude is a dog, bro. Like some people just make it work, man. You know, sometimes you think, hey, at some point you would think he would run into some limitations or say he can't, but he's made it work, man. But yeah, at this point I wouldn't take. It's too high to take him. I'll probably take him in the.
Yeah.
No, we're in the fourth right now.
We're in the fourth. We have pick 108 and 110, and that's.
And we haven't picked a lineman yet, right?
We have not picked a lineman yet, so.
I'm telling you, look, watch the tape on my boy Willie Lampkin. Watch the tape. That's all I got to say.
God damn it.
And then you said you're high on Charles Grant, who's, according to PFF, he's the number one guy on the board. Tez Johnson.
He's a developmental guy. Oh, Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman is a guy that's there, though. Billy Bowman is there. He's another guy. We just took running back, right? We haven't taken any offensive linemen?
No, we haven't.
Ah, man. Okay.
I would, if the Raiders double up at running back, I would take a guy either from as early as second round to third round, and then double back in the fifth.
Yeah, I'll double back in the fifth. Because a guy like Khalil Mullins will probably be there. Damian Martinez probably go fourth. But you could probably get Mullins.
You got Devin Neal that could be there.
Devin Neal will probably be there. So there's some guys.
Jadon Blue is more of a six rounder that could be there. I mean,
yes, Jadon Blue, especially if you go power back earlier. But Charles Grant, I like Charles Grant. I like Charles Grant. He's a developmental guy. Said the tools are there. I think he needs to be coached up, but all the tools are there, and the motor is there. That's the most important part, I think, for a guy that size. The motor, the tenacity, the tools. He needs some coaching, and he needs to add some strength.
Still, right? Are we still in the fourth?
Yeah, we're still in the fourth.
Man, because like Charles Grant, I can't see him in the fourth. Like Severe, you sent me his tape and I saw it. Yeah, that's tough. Like he definitely needs to develop. I mean, you can just tell his tech.
I think the Ravens fullback is bigger than
probably.
That dude ain't. Are you talking about the Ravens or are you talking about the Chargers?
Yeah, no, the Ravens.
Ravens Chargers too.
He's like former defensive lineman, lineman.
Yeah, that's the Chargers. That's the Chargers.
Is it Chargers? I thought the Ravens had a huge fullback.
Maybe they do too, but the Chargers converted a defensive lineman to a fullback. I forget his name.
Yeah, okay. Chargers has a massive fullback. Ravens got a fullback. He's big, but he's typical fullback.
Right. So what are we doing here, man? Is Lampkin the move? Are we going to do something crazy? We're going to do something wild and draft a guy 5'10" at offensive guard, and then he turns out to be a beast, which I'm not going to be mad at. But
where's
5'10" at guard?
It's
Matt Locke.
It's early.
Matt Locke is the guy. Matt Locke is the guy for the Chargers.
Oh, Matt Locke, yeah.
Matt Locke is like 6'5", 300.
Kevin's saying to look at the tape, Farrell. All right, man. So what do you guys saying? Let me know what should the pick be
look
at 108?
Look at safeties.
Look at safeties.
We looked at safety.
If Bowman is there, I wouldn't mind Bowman. If Billy Bowman.
But if we're being strategic, right? We're at pick 108, and we got another pick at 110. Do you want to get someone that probably would be there? Like Bowman, I feel like we'll be there at 110. You know what I mean? Like I don't think the Bills are going to be picking up Bowman.
If it's me,
how about linebacker?
If it's me personally, I'm going Grant and then Bowman. That's me personally.
Or we can look at edge. We can look at let's see, because we just talked about we don't have depth.
Oh, your boy at UCLA, Severe. I like him. The Oladejo.
Femi Oladejo. Yeah, but
we need depth.
We need some depth. But
I'm
see,
okay
the
with
thing is,
getting depth in fourth.
Or a guy that we can put in there and get after the quarterback. Year one, just have him do that because, like, you know, after Kuntz, it kind of gets scary after that. Like, you know, that's what happened last year. He got hurt, and we were like, we had to ask Tyree to do something that he can't really do.
It's Tyree, it's Charles Snowden, it's Ja'Cory Robinson. I think he's still on the team. Yeah, it gets scary if someone goes down. We definitely need rotational pieces at the edge, and I think Oladipo is probably the best one right now. And I mean, we can get him with the next pick because we're only 2 away potentially.
Yeah. And look, the thing about Charles Grant is that Charles Grant has some potential at guard too. I think some teams are looking at him as guard. I think the 49ers brought him in. They're looking at him as a guy that's going to play guard right now and then possibly slide over when Trent Williams is done.
So you know what I'll do.
So you want to go Charles? You want to go Charles Grant and then go Oladipo? Because I do think we need a rotational piece at edge, and after Oladipo, it kind of falls off.
I wouldn't mind that. We haven't drafted any offensive linemen. We need some linebackers too, but we haven't drafted any offensive linemen yet.
There's still a couple good linebackers that you can get in the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, I think Jack Heisman might be there in the 5th.
The Eichenberger's cousin might be available in later in the 5th.
Severe's just waiting for him. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, bro.
He plays just like him too.
Eichenberg better turn into something, man. That's all I know. He better turn into something, bro. He better turn into something.
I said we get Grant, and then see if Oladipo is up next.
Okay.
So Grant and Femi? Grant and Femi? I don't mind that.
So Charles Grant is the guy?
Charles Grant and Femi.
All right.
But I think we definitely need to get some O-line help.
All right. Francis agrees. Francis the sixth.
Oh, yeah, he says Mark, yeah.
All right, Charles Grant.
All right, Bills, don't screw us.
It's just one pick. They did just cut Von Miller, though.
I know they did.
Oh, they just cut him? But he's always hurt, though. Oh, they went corner. All right, so we got everything. We got everything we want. So
cool. All right,
we can go Oladipo. We can go. What else we're looking? We're looking offensive line. We're talking interior offensive line, but we just went offensive tackle.
Yeah, offensive tackle. Who has potential at guard too? He's a ball of clay. Like you could turn him almost into whatever you want him to turn because he's a guy that he hasn't played football that long and he's been at a lower level of competition. It's just that he has so many tools. I'm good with Femi. And the thing about Femi is that I don't think he does it in the league, but he got his start at Cal and his start at UCLA at stand-up linebacker. So he does still have some of those skills. So like if it was absolutely needed, he can play stand-up linebacker. He's better. He's more of an edge prospect in the NFL, but he has, for a guy his size, he has great athleticism, and he's kind of a tweener anyway. You know, he doesn't have the longest arms. He's not the tallest guy. He gets by basically on athleticism, but he's a guy that, like I said.
Who have we drafted so far? So T-Mac was our first, right?
So let's take a look. So we got T-Mac, Tyleek Williams, Siobhan Revel, Dylan Sampson, Jackson Dart, and Charles Grant, and we have our final pick in this mock draft, unless we trade down.
That's not bad of a draft.
Pretty solid.
I don't mind Femi. I don't mind Femi right here. If you guys want more depth at edge, like I said, he's depth at edge. I think he can play linebacker in a pinch. He's almost like Gainer in that sense, where you know he can play linebacker in a pinch. I think Gainer can play some edge. That's the thing. I think Gainer can play some edge in a pinch too. So I think they both have some of that versatility.
So is Femi more? Femi more of a pass rusher, or is he more of a, what type of linebacker is he? He's a pass rusher. He's a pass rusher. He's
an edge. He's an edge. He's an edge in this class. He's a pass rusher.
But Severe, you're a UCLA fan, so you saw him more. But my thing is if he took a year to sit behind Malcolm Kuntz, right? He got 12 to 13 snaps a game, and he get the rotational. He puts on a little bit of weight. He looked like he could be pretty good athletic edge rusher. If Malcolm Koonce decided to walk, he could grow into that position.
Yeah, he can't. The only thing about him is that he doesn't have long arms. Like he doesn't have the arm length you want as a edge rusher. He makes it work. And this was his first year playing edge, and he's already considered a pretty high prospect after only playing edge 1 year. He started off at Cal as a linebacker, came to UCLA. He's been a linebacker this entire time. Started this year playing linebacker. It wasn't until like game 2 or 3 they played him at edge out of necessity, and he started producing. So he's a guy that
you give him an off season, put on some weight. Yeah. Robbie Leonard could work with him. Next thing you know, if Malcolm Koonce walks, he could grow into that position. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't mind that.
Or develop him as a 3rd round pass rusher early on too. You know what I mean? I think that could be a possibility too. So is this the pick here, or are we looking somewhere else possibly? Are we looking at linebacker? We haven't addressed linebacker. That's a huge need, right?
I'm good there. I think there are some guys late.
Yeah.
I think there's some guys late. As 805 was saying. There's some guys late. I'm good. I'm good with Femi right there.
All right, man. Femi's the pick, man. It's gonna wrap up the draft here.
Boom. And I see Raider Zach yelling Devin Neal, man. Devin Neal would probably be my pick in the 5th.
Yeah.
Get a second running back.
But I would want someone that could, that can complement the running back that we drafted early. So if we get a power back, I would want more of a speedy complement. If we get a speedy guy, I want more of a guy like a little power guy, Shout out to the Darren McFadden, Michael Bush.
Yeah, Thunder and Lightning.
All right. They didn't like our Jackson Dart pick in the 3rd. Woo. Damn, they hate it.
Yeah, that's wild.
God.
That's wild.
Jackson Dart in the 3rd gets a D, huh? All right.
But we got an A- minus overall. So, overall draft grade.
I'll take it.
They like that.
I finally get an A just because I'm sharing the screen with Severe. That's what it is.
This ain't even This ain't my IT guys don't touch PFF. Only Pro Football Network.
No, got it. Okay.
All right. Matter of fact, I gotta call Timmy after we get off this, so I can let him know.
I'm sure you do. Need him to give him plenty of time to prep.
So this is this week's version of our mock draft. Every week we add a round until we get to 7-round mock draft. Obviously, it's coming up soon with the draft coming up. So definitely tune in. Man, it's been a great show.
Yes, sir.
Great conversation. We're able to get into the Geno Smith signing. Now it's pretty much, I don't really. Do you guys see any before we even head out? Do you guys see anybody getting picked up in free agency from here on out, or is it going to be 100% the draft from here on out?
I think it's 100% the draft. I think maybe
wide receiver,
maybe Lockett, but at this point, honestly, I would like to see us address the receiver position because there's a lot of talent in this draft at the receiver position. I don't see anybody else trying to pick up Lockett, and because it's all about where we think Lockett could potentially go. Like it makes sense for him to come here because of Geno, right? So I don't see anybody else picking up Lockett before the draft, and so we could get him, but I definitely would like to address the receiver position, not only number 1, but definitely a slot competition piece to battle Trey Tucker for that position, and see us grab 2 receivers in the draft. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, man. Hey. So I you know what? I do think that we're probably gonna make one sign. I think because I feel like the Raiders have been checking in on that wide receiver market for a while now. They just haven't really, look, they want a guy at their price. And there are some guys available technically, but we'll see. I mean, guys like Elijah Moore from the Browns is still available. Amari Cooper is still available. I know some Raider fans, some guys might not agree with bringing back Cooper, but I think he's I think he's still a solid pick. East Coast says Dart is not it.
Not even at third.
Man.
Dart. I mean, I think
better
it's a
than
value
Curtis
pick
Ward.
at that point.
Yeah.
Better than Will Howard. Better than Curtis Ward. Take that, Dante. He's gonna get picked way before them too.
But 808, man, we appreciate you coming through, man. It's been a great show. But you want to chime in? You have something to say?
One guy that I think I want to watch out for prior to the draft. Again, you figure out how the draft falls. You know, if guys don't fall to you, but oh shit, I just blanked on his name. The kid from the Chargers, the corner from the Chargers.
Oh, Asante
Samuels.
Samuels. I heard that the Raiders are. I don't know how true this is, but there are some rumors saying that the Raiders are in on Asante Samuels.
So my biggest thing though is with Asante Samuel, I think that it's worth looking at him to potentially see him move to the slot corner. I think he can transfer and play into the slot corner possibly very well. And that's something we need. And I don't see a lot of slot corners in this draft. So, you know, you got Jahdae Barron, which I think could be a really good transition and move down to the slot corner. I think that could happen. But I don't see a lot of slot corners in this draft. So Asante Samuel's a guy that I definitely I hope the Raiders just kind of keep on their radar in hopes that maybe you bring him in and he can compete at that position as we get closer to the draft. And if the draft doesn't fall the way we want to and we don't bring one in, maybe address it right after the draft. So that's definitely one guy I want to keep an eye on.
Jabbar Muhammad.
If we get Asante Samuel, how is he in the slot? Because I know the Chargers have played him on the outside.
He played mainly outside, but I think because of the way, just he's a quick corner. He's got the ability to be able to stick with some of the faster guys, and that's one of the things that you have to do as a slot corner, right? There's a 2, 3, 4-way go for a slot corner to go to any point on the field. And he's got the quickness to stay with him. The one thing that we don't have on this roster right now is a true slot corner. So we got to find it some way, somehow. A lot of people say you can move Isaiah Polamau. I don't think he's a slot. He's not going to be able to guard the slot. People were talking about Jeremy Chin. Not going to happen. So I think we need to address it. That's why I hope we just keep our eye on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think both of those guys get snaps there. They both got snaps there last year, but they're not guys you want to depend on full time as slot corners.
No.
Jack Jones, I think Jack Jones has the athletic ability. It's just, you know, the focus. What do you have the requisite focus?
The discipline.
Now, yeah, exactly. The focus on this. And now Pete Carroll's a guy that's, you know, who's been known to have some success with getting the best out of the cornerback position. So maybe that's a guy he can kind of reach, you know, and he'll coach up and kind of work his magic on that he's done in the past. So he's a guy that he has the athletic ability. It's just about, as 805 said, the discipline and then the focus to play there. So if you can get him there, that opens up a world of possibilities, because then you can really attack outside corner.
Give Jack Jones a pass rush, man. Just give that man a pass rush. You give him a consistent. If you give that man a good pass rush, man, with his instincts, we all know he's a ball hawk. And you could say this about probably any DB, man. If you give them a good pass rush, that's just going to make their life a lot easier. So maybe that's how the Raiders are looking at it. Like, they're not really concerned as much about the corner spot, because they feel like, you know what, Pete Carroll had that experience of developing guys at that position, so they probably can grab a guy in the draft, and then also, you know, they're probably going to prioritize maybe the front seven, specifically that D line. We just went ahead and drafted Tyleek Williams. We drafted another guy later, the UCLA edge rusher. So, and then a healthy Kuntz. You know, hey, maybe the Raiders can get back to it. Get back to getting after that quarterback position. But, man, hey, like I said, it's been a great show. 808, man. Appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again. Yeah, man, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Man, I just got my channel, Real Talk Raider Nation. Been rocking here for a couple seasons. It's basically been a year since myself, Pharaoh, Severe, we're out here in the Vegas area, did a draft live, which was a hell of an experience. A lot of fun. We all rocked out, man. It was good. But, man, I got my channel. I do some lives with Severe in the Raider War Room on Tuesdays and Sundays, and then I just hit you guys with my own individual videos when news drops. But yeah, man, just like to chop it up with the chat on Tuesdays and Sundays. Have fun, especially when Severe's IT guy likes to rig drafts. But outside of that, man, we have a lot of fun and we rock out. So, no, man. But Pharaoh, man, I appreciate you letting me come on, and yeah, we got to do this some more. And Pharaoh, you got to come join us on our Sunday show and do a mock draft with us.
We got to make that happen, man. At Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff, man.
You guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider here on YouTube, on IG, on X, on Snapchat, on TikTok, basically everywhere. The Severe Raider. You guys already know me and my guy, Fair NFL, every Tuesday night. You know, for the 50-50 show, the world famous 50-50 show, and Thursday nights around the Shield, and then rocking out with my dogs, you know, my brothers 805 and Chris from Protect the Shield on like Sunday nights and like Tuesday afternoons, the Raider War Room, continuing my dominating streak in the mock draft challenge. You know,
hey,
I appreciate it. At this point, I feel like I'm a Make-A-Wish kid. Like they just let me win. I don't know.
Hey, I need a little bit of context.
Do I got cancer? Do I got cancer and not know it? And y'all just letting me win every Sunday? Is this what this is?
I need a little bit of context. Because I did see a clip that went viral. You know what I mean? I see the clip.
It was a good one.
Is this why you got the whole king outfit showing up to the show with the
yes, that
with
is
the crown?
Ridiculous, Pharaoh.
Yes, I was at that point. I was the two-time defending champion. You know, and I showed up with the crown and the scepter. I was hoping to inspire a little fight in my competition. And you know what? They come with a little more fight. But it wasn't enough to stop the king, all right? It wasn't enough to stop the king. I feel like Elvis. I was feeling like, I'm the king. The golden child, as Space B says. And, you know, I need Eddie Murphy trying to protect me because I am the golden child.
Man.
I got nothing to say, Pharaoh. This is getting ridiculous. I got nothing to say.
Y'all got to make sure that y'all tune in, man.
Jen Slinger, no, shout out to Jen Slinger. No, shout out to my guy, John Studios. You know, they know what time it is. You know, they know what time it is.
All right, man. Y'all got to tune in this Sunday, man. The showdown, the tournament, the mock draft tournament. That's what I'm calling it. Yes. That's what it sounds like. Y'all having like a duel on Sunday. Like who has the best?
The taking candy from a baby segment is what it is.
Man.
There's just. He just gets all the shiny objects and the chat eats it all up. That's what happens.
I'm insufferable. I know I'm insufferable.
I
appreciate you guys letting me rant, letting me talk my stuff.
So I got Severe. I got his name coined. He's the used mock draft salesman. That's what he is. He sells every pick like you wouldn't believe, and they love it.
Hey, you got to do it. You got to give the people what they want.
He called you a used mock draft salesman. Damn, shots fired, man.
I love it.
But look, hey, man, it's like I said, it's been a great show. Make sure to tune in on Sunday. Raiders War Room. They'll have their mock draft tournament, their duel. You know what I mean? So y'all go make sure to check that out. Like Severe said, we do the 50-50 show every Tuesday around the Shield. Was an episode that we dropped every Friday, but due to the off season and the news coming in, hey, it's now a live show on Thursday. So tune in. We have guests. We try to have guests every week. Someone new, someone different. Just to keep it fresh, different perspective. 805 Raider was able to come in here and just chime in and give us his perspective, which we obviously appreciate. Also, give us a follow on Around the Shield on X and on IG. And for the latest on the Raider news, memes, all that good stuff. We appreciate the support on the way out. Clock in or clock out at this point. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Am I forgetting anything? Any
now, just
last
make
thoughts before
sure
we head out?
if anybody who hasn't done so already, if you're not already subscribed to 805 Raider, please make sure you go over there.
Oh yeah,
Show 805
mods.
Raiders some love, man. He does great work over there. Not only with the lives, but he hits you guys with the videos. Talking about the breaking news and Raider Nation. So good stuff. It's real good stuff there.
Facts.
Appreciate
Appreciate everybody coming through, man. We'll be back here soon, man. Peace.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.